Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Season 14, Hate Watch The Bachelorette with me. This is Becca's season and this is episode 6. We're jumping right in and the guys and the gal have left Las Vegas and they're on their way to Richmond, Virginia. I guess a city for lovers, as they keep saying. So we first see lots of different places in Richmond, Virginia. We have the commonplace scene of the guys on top of some kind of building yelling out the Bachelorette's name. So everyone's like, Becca! And then we have Becca in a stunning pink jacket walking around Richmond, Virginia, having some kind of voiceover talking about something that I didn't pay attention to. And they pan down and she's wearing some like ankle length, like cut off jeans with some gray suede booties, and it is just, who is styling her? Who is doing this? Then we have a little scene of Becca by giant letters spelling love, L-O-V-E, and she does some kind of like, L, oh, and Becca is phoning it in. Homegirl is tired. She's exhausted. Whatever plane ride just happened, whatever happened in Vegas or Richmond, Virginia, like Chris is on her nerves, like everybody's bothering her. Homegirl is tired. She's phoning this entire segment in. She has a conversation with the host, Chris, in some space, and it's strange. She's talking about how, you know, the process is getting more deep, and all of a sudden she's walking around and she's seeing couples and she's seeing babies and she's like, oh my God, they're so cute. And then Chris is like, I saw you had wedding magazines while on the plane. And she's like, I did. I didn't buy them though. It's the middle of the race and homegirl is she just needs a respite, you know? And there's no rest for the wicked. So then there's like a little scene, there's like a little like confessional of Colton talking about Virginia, like just like Virginia birthed the nation, I hope this trip births a new segment for me and Becca or something. Like, girl, who told you to say that? Then we move on and we see the guys like seeing the place they're staying. They're all very excited as always about the place that they're staying. And it looks like Will's has new shoes because they are white on the bottom and they're beautiful. They're like this fluorescent orange or pink pair of shoes. And I'm like, do they have a budget now? Do the guys have a budget? Because they only have that one bag and there is no way that all of their clothes fit into that one suitcase. So I think there's some kind of budgeting happening and they're letting Will style himself and he looks great. So Chris R, you know, has a voiceover where he's talking about this is his redemption week and he's going to pull out all the stops for Becca and do everything he needs to do to get on her good side because he wants to leave Vegas alone and move forward in Richmond, Virginia. So the guys are all sitting around having a conversation and then the date card comes and it turns out that Jason gets his one-on-one date and I'm very excited for him. He deserves it. He's done so well so far without ever having a one-on-one that I think that the one-on-one will just really solidify his position. And so we're like happy for him. And then all of a sudden Lincoln and Chris R start to get into a fight. And it's like dumb. It's over semantics. It starts off with Chris R saying that he wants a one-on-one this week or a two-on-one. He doesn't care. He just wants to have more like specific alone time with Becca. And Lincoln jumps in and is like, well, why would you want a two-on-one? Don't you want a one-on-one? And he's like, I don't care. I just want any kind of like one-on-one, two-on-one with her. Like I'll beat any guy out. And Lincoln was just like, okay, but you know that's highly improbable. Like the chances of you getting a one-on-one when you've already gotten one is like small, and especially because of like what happened last week, like you're not gonna get a one-on-one. This upsets Chris, and Chris like starts to spiral again and like tells Lincoln all this stuff and tells him to shut up and all this dumb stuff, and Lincoln is just antagonizing him and being stupid as well, and we all hate Lincoln, don't we? Becca, we love Becca. Becca's the great, we're all here for Becca. Shut up, Lincoln. And then they get into this stupid argument and it completely pulls away from Jason. And at some point, Jason is just like, okay, I'm gonna get ready. You know, like I'm out of here. He doesn't need the stress of this drama. And they still continue to have an argument. And it ends with Chris going, shut up, Lincoln. Like they're two like 6-year-olds. It's so dumb. So the next scene is their one-on-one, Jason and Becca, and they get on some kind of trolley. She's wearing wellies, girl, and I'm just like, is it gonna rain? Because otherwise wellies are really uncomfortable. They have champagne, as always, and they go to their first stop, which is like a church or something. And then she's like taking him around Richmond, Virginia, selling him all like the rich history and then like, you know, give me liberty or give me death or whatever. And then they go to an unhappy party, unhappy hour. That's like the theme is Edgar Allan Poe and like depression. Why is the Edgar Allan Poe Museum of Virginia like thrown into the mix right now? So back at the ranch, Colton and Leo are talking about Chris's spiral, which I mean, they don't know what he's going to do. He's emotionally all over the place. It's just like a lot to deal with and none of them want to deal with it. They just feel like it's going to cause more drama in the house, which It absolutely does. So then the next spot that Jason and Becca go to is this bar, this pub. It's like popping on the inside. And Jason's like, oh, cool. You know, like it's great in here. And all of a sudden he spots his homeboys. And he like goes and hugs his friends. And he's like, you know, thank you guys so much for coming out here. You know, I know it's great to be on TV. And Becca then has conversations with two of his homeboys. It's like one of the homeboys is hot. Okay, hot. The one in the white long sleeve, hot. Okay, I was into it. So she had a good conversation with them, and it was really nice. She said that, you know, the friends said a lot of great things about Jason, a lot of things that her friends would say about her, and it really made her see that her and Jason are very compatible, and that his friends say that he's ready for love and he's ready for marriage and all those great things. And so, you know, she's just really reassured. Even though there was no rain that day, it ended up snowing that night. So the last part of their date, when they had their little dinner thing, Jason talks about, you know, his dad being this stalwart, strong guy. And he gives a vulnerable story about his grandmother having Alzheimer's and having to go with his dad to the home that his grandmother was in. And Becca was like, oh, thank you for being vulnerable. Here's my vulnerability. And she talks about her father and how her father got sick when she was 14 and passed away when she was 19. And having to go through that kind of adversity at such a young age really made her a strong person that she is today. And so they thanked each other for sharing the story. And then she gave him the rose. He deserved it. So then the group date gets announced, and basically everyone is in the group date except for Leo, which is obviously ding ding ding, Leo is going to get the next one-on-one date. So I'm kind of excited for that. So they go on the group date, and the whole theme of the group date is, again, Becca taking them around to see American history. Did they talk about slavery, though, was my question. Is Will the descendant of these enslaved Africans? And if so, did he ask about slavery? I mean, they had a guy dressed up as George Washington who owned slaves, and then they had a guy dressed up as Lincoln who freed the slaves at some point. So did they talk about slavery was my question. They probably didn't. Okay, great. So they had this whole Becca election where the guys all got on a podium on the steps of some kind of courthouse, and they all dressed in suits, and they had to like answer questions and debate each other over Becca and like guess how much they all love her or falling in love with her or whatnot. And all the guys are giving really safe answers and great answers because there's an audience of people sitting down at the base of the steps with Becca. It's like a really like little fun Bachelorette event, and then all of a sudden it goes awry. Because Lincoln makes some comment about really being there for Becca, and then he takes a dig at Chris R. And, you know, Chris R is already in his feelings and spiraling. He says, you know, I am here for Becca, and I never thought about packing my bags and leaving, unlike Chris R. So then Chris R then does a rebuttal. And he's like, Becca, I'm here for you. And some guys are saying some really terrible things about you. Again, telling her that people are talking shit about her, which is always the way to get a girl to like you, you know? Just telling her that people around you are talking shit about her, which is so dumb. It's like, in any situation, if you hear someone talking shit about someone else, confront them if they're talking shit about somebody you like. Don't ear hustle and then go back and tell the person. Like, be the friend and stand up for that person. Otherwise, be quiet. All the guys were just like, dang. So Blake steps up and he's like, oh, everyone said things they didn't mean to say, but we're moving on from here and, you know, things are great. And the audience is kind of like, what's happening? There's no way to salvage it. I mean, they are just acting the bloody fool. Obviously, Becca is a little weirded out and her face drops from being in a smile to like being like, okay, their guys are in the house talking shit about me again. Great. Nice to know. So anyways, at the night part of the group date, when they all had their kind of one-on-ones, Lincoln goes in there first and then again plays this like, I'm scared of this person type ruse. The same stuff he did with Connor. He says to Becca that he's scared of Chris and that he's sure that Connor is like worried about it because he never knows what attitude or mood Chris is going to be in. It's so all over the place and he's worried and all this stuff instead of just talking about himself like he should do. And so then that sets Becca off. The next person she has their little one-on-one with during the cocktail hour is Chris R. Chris R comes in and she's like, look, I've been hearing some stuff about you. You know, I heard that Connor doesn't want to stay in the room with you because you're a little erratic. And Chris immediately starts to defend himself and talk over her, doesn't give her an opportunity to say anything, talks about how he's been attacked and he's been attacked for the past week and a half and he's doing his best and he's here for her and if he wanted to stay here, he would stay here, but he blah, blah, just all this like insecure, you know, you need me, I'm the best guy here, if you don't want me, there's something wrong with you type rhetoric, and it's just so played out. Then he leaves from her, goes downstairs, and immediately like starts to talk about how someone went up there and started to talk. Obviously it's Lincoln. Lincoln is the only person to see Becca before him. And then Connor's annoyed because Connor is like, why would you even bring me into this? I never said I was scared to sleep with Chris. Like, and Lincoln's like, I didn't say anything that wasn't true. I just said what off for everyone's feeling, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, oh, this is getting so stupid and petty. Chris is more upset. He starts to spiral even more. And then it's Garrett's turn. So Garrett goes up to talk to her, and he can't even get an opportunity to talk with her because she's a little upset after talking with Chris R. And so Garrett is now annoyed. He comes downstairs and he's like, look, she's up there and she's pissed. And this is your fault. And Chris R is like, not my fault. And he's like, I don't care. You need to get it together. And Wills is like, look, if you ruin this night for us, I'm going to be pissed off. And everyone's mad at Chris R. Really, Lincoln is the one who stirred the pot. But Chris R doesn't know how to defend himself in a way that isn't blaming everyone else but him. He's just not good at communicating. Garrett goes back up there. He eases her mind. And then all the guys end up having conversations with her, including Colton, who she ends up giving the date rose to. This episode was just so boring. The stuff that ABC set up was just so whack that I didn't care about it. So all you ended up caring about more was the drama. But the drama was still so stupid. It was just kind of like a lot of things just weren't working in this episode. Becca was tired, you know. She ended up going on her one-on-one with Leo, and she had to like basically talk about Chris and Lincoln and the drama happening in the house for the first part of their date. And like, it sucks. And she said that it sucked, and it did. And Leo was like, you know what, it's okay. You can talk about this. Like, I'm willing to do whatever you want to do because I'm so happy to have this opportunity and this time with you. And she's just like, thank you. You know, it's cold. They go into some water. They shuck for oysters. They eat some oysters, and then they kiss each other. And then like trying to have this nice moment with champagne and like salty seawater in their mouth. And it just seems gross. And then after that, they have their nighttime date, which goes well. He talks about how, you know, he feels like he's let his father down with his career choice. And Becca is just like, you know, thank you so much for being vulnerable again. And she ends up giving him the rose. And it seems like they have a cool date, but it just seems like they're still so far behind compared to everyone else in the house. This date felt a little lacking to me, but Leo has incredible curl pattern, and, you know, he's a really tall, strong guy, and so I wouldn't put him out of the running. That curl pattern alone. Okay, so Leo comes home from the date with the rose, and everyone's excited for him except for Chris, because Chris is like, Leo can't come home for the date. Chris is banking on the fact that Leo is gonna go home from their one-on-one date. And I'm like, what are you thinking? Why would Leo go home? Unless, like, she really had no connection with him. But I guess Chris was just really hoping for that. And as soon as Leo comes in, Chris gets upset and he leaves. And he decides that he's going to have a conversation with Becca. We all know this is going terribly. He puts on a camel coat, you know what I'm saying? He's got some, like, camel pointy shoes. And he walks over to wherever it is that Becca's staying, knocks on her door. She lets him in. And they're having a conversation, and he just keeps talking over her, and she keeps trying to tell him, like, I don't know why you doubted me. Simply because you thought you sang Donka Shane the best and I didn't come get you immediately, you all of a sudden, like, got all these doubts in your head, and I don't know why. And it was up until that moment I didn't feel those things. Like, I was fine with the way we were. And he's just like, well, you're the one who did it to me, and I didn't know. Well, I just want to scrape what happened in Vegas and move forward. And she's like, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, but you keep bringing it up. And then there's this issue with you and Lincoln. And then she's like, look, I just don't want to waste your time anymore. I don't want to put you through a rose ceremony. Like, it's okay. Like, we can part ways here. Like, I don't want to waste your time. And he's just like, so what are you saying? And she's just like, I'm saying that I don't want to waste your time anymore. And so I'm going to walk you out. Bye. And he's like, no, you don't have to walk me out. I'm just like, oh my God, you're going to be a little baby to the end? To the very end, Chris? You're going to be so deep within your feelings to the last moment? You can't. And she's like, no, I'm going to walk you out. And he's like, no, don't get up. And she's like, no, I'm just going to walk you to the door right here. I'm not going to sit here while I'm just going to go. And he's like, no. And she's like, no, I'm getting up and I'm walking you out. She was just going to walk him to the door. And he was like insistent that she just stay where she is. He's just such a petty baby, and I'm just so glad that he's gone. I mean, his behavior under pressure, like, why would you want to marry that guy? He's like, oh, a little adversity is not going to stop me. And then adversity happened, and it completely derailed him. It didn't just stop him, it derailed him. Okay, so then we jump to the rose ceremony where she is wearing the most beautiful gown. I'm just like, thank you, stylist, for coming through. Okay, thank you so much. It is so beautiful. It's like bejeweled and like has roses on it or flowers or something, and it's like see-through in certain parts. It's great. So anyways, the guys are all waiting for the rose ceremony to begin because Becca has decided that she is not going to have a cocktail hour. She knows exactly what she's going to do, and we know exactly what she's going to do too. We know she's going to get rid of Connor. You know, she never had a connection with him after he threw that picture. And she was just like, you got to go. So both Connor and Lincoln left, thank God. So the last men standing are obviously the men that she's had the most connection with. So that's Colton, Wills, Blake, Garrett, Leo, and Jason. That's who it is. Now this is going to be hard. I think Leo is going to be the next person to go, in my opinion. Oh, the next place they're going to go to is the Bahamas. And the Bahamas seems like such a stressful situation because now there's no more filler guys, you know? Like, I think Leo is, to me, the last guy that's like, okay, now you need to go. Everyone else, though, I think still is in the running. You know, we'll see. We will see. So hopefully next week is more fun and has better activities and less drama, you know? That's what I hope for. All right, you guys, so that was the end of this episode. Please let me know what you guys thought down in the comment sections. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching this show. Have a fantastic day. Bye.